Here is our host, Tian Wei.
Hello and welcome to World Insight. I'm Tian Wei. It's day 4 of the 2022 Beijing Winter Games, and so far we've seen a lot of bone-chilling competition and history made on the ice. Athletes are certainly giving their all to carry the Olympic spirit. Viewers from all over the world are glued to the winter action. National teams from all corners of the world, big and small, have pitched in to make the games faster, higher, and stronger together. So how to assess the athletes' performances so far? Let's loop in our panelists. For the ongoing Winter Olympics in Lausanne, Dr. Claude Stricker, Executive Director of International Academy of Sports Science and Technology, and also in Beijing, we have Justin Downs, President of Axis Leisure Management, a winter sports consultant. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen.
Welcome. Thank you.
It's a beautiful day in Beijing. The 2022 Winter Olympics are ongoing, and the performances of the sportsmen and women have been tremendous and exhilarating. Tell me more about your assessment so far of their performances.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. We are always very thrilled to see the first days and competition of Olympic Games. And as we all know, it's very special. It's every 4 years for athletes. It's definitely a highlight of their career. My background is in alpine skiing, alpine ski racing.
Yes.
So I'm really a supporter, a fan of the Swiss national ski team. Mm-hmm. So Beat Feutz yesterday with the gold medal was definitely great for Switzerland. He's a very appreciated athlete, skier. He's the 4th to get a gold medal in the Olympic history of alpine ski downhill. Downhill is, as you know, the big events in alpine ski. So we are very happy.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm an enthusiast when it comes to absolutely everything, but I also am a fan of the downhill skiing and alpine. Well, I mean, of course, being a Canadian, of course, I was very excited to see our young Canadian team do so well, not only in the downhill yesterday with the 4th place, but also in the Super G today. For those, if you're in Europe, you might not have got up early enough to see it, but it just happened a couple of hours ago, and fantastic performance. Unfortunately, Beat didn't do as well today as he did yesterday, but he really is an impressive athlete. And you know what was really cool about watching yesterday's performance is that it's not only a young person's sport. I mean, the average age of the podium finishers were well into their 30s. A 41-year-old won a silver medal. You know, that speaks volumes for where this sport is. So, you know, we've got people that are 15, 16, 17 years old competing, and people in their mid and late 40s competing. So it's really impressive to see the broad range.
The inclusiveness, in a way, of the Winter Olympics compared to even the Summer Olympics is very impressive. Having said that, though, of course, today, Eileen Gu, who has become so well known now worldwide for her performance, very young, 18 years old, got her first gold medal by performing something she has never done before, but she did it on the final competition. A lot of women power, girl power represented here. But at the same time, you know, looking at all the athletes that are competing, it's so exhilarating over the past few days already.
Oh, well, I mean, look, these athletes have been training their entire lives for this one moment. And you talk about Eileen Gu's performance. She had to do something she'd never done before to beat her rivals. And thankfully for her, she nailed it, and she did a fantastic performance. But these guys and girls really have to push themselves. They have a one shot. You know, maybe it's one shot in their entire career. Maybe in the case of Eileen, she has many more years to come. But, you know, they have been training and visualizing this opportunity. And for the Chinese athletes to do it on home soil in front of, you know, an adoring, massive population is really an experience of a lifetime for them. So, but what was really nice to see at the end of that big air competition was just the emotion that all of the competitors, when they come together, yes, they're fierce competitors one-on-one, but at the end of the day, they're a family and a fraternity. And it was really good to see the winners console the others, and the teams, the various athletes just come together and enjoy that experience, because it is once in a lifetime for them.
You can feel the bound in the air in a way, because all these athletes have to overcome tremendous challenges compared maybe to their peers throughout generation because of the ongoing pandemic worldwide. There are a lot of uncertainties. Maybe they didn't even know what's next before they came to the 2022 Winter Olympics Games. And even during the trip, there are a lot of uncertainties. So that takes a lot of energy, but it seems that the sportsmen and women, they are handling this with gracefulness.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, the situations could be more ideal, but at the end of the day, what the organizing committee here and the various organizers from their own federations to the IOC have done is they've really tried to take away a lot of the distractions. So yes, it might be inconvenient to do constant COVID testing or these types of things, but they have done their very best to make sure that the athletes are comfortable, that they're enjoying themselves, that the accommodations are good, the meals are good, and first and foremost, that the venues are world class. And I think you've heard every comment, from whether it be ice to snow to freestyle, everybody is unbelievably impressed about what has been created here from a venue standpoint. So really, they've taken away as many of the variables as possible. In fact, they probably have less to worry about than they normally would, and can just focus on their performance.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, look, there are, typically there might be distractions with a lot of media, or distractions with hospitality, or crowds, or, sometimes crowds are good, sometimes they're bad for an athlete. It depends on their point of view. But really what they're doing is they're focusing on their own athletic performance. They're in the zone, as we would say. So I think in some ways it might have simplified things for them to focus.
How do you see new technologies and new scientific improvement are being applied for the preparations of the games, and also that are, part of the service to the athletes?
I think now with digital progress and all the technology related to digitals, definitely more and more support from data scientists, data analytics, probably an evolution more and more toward neuroscience as well. So a lot of, I would say, science now in the training, especially in this sport where motor skill is so important, gravity sports. So I would say more and more sophistication from science, definitely. But probably next evolution is certainly related to neuroscience. So to know more the link between the brain, plasticity of the brain, and motor skill acquisition, as well as all the rest.
Tell me how is that likely to be applied? Give me a category or a sport, how athletes could prepare with that.
Well, if I take an example of evolution with alpine skiing, where definitely the strengths of the legs are so important, because you have G's right in the curve. So you have those athletes with incredible legs and strengths. Now, with the ski technology evolution and the techniques push so hard, it's no more to have the most strengths, but to find a better coordination and control of the movement at a certain force. So you don't train anymore by pushing so hard that you can lift the most weight you can, but you really train at very sensitive zone where you get the most control of the system, ski bindings, and your corporate body.
So the precision and the power as a result of a technological application is going to be tremendous. It's already shown here at the 2022 Beijing Olympics, by the way, already among many athletes. Mr. Downs, another thing, it's about mental health of the athletes. I mean, you're doing the consultations for many of the teams and also for the organizers. how to prepare and how during the process of the games be able to support the athletes?
You know, I can't speak for every nation, but coming from the Canadian side, you know, in our national system as well as within the federations have very strong support systems for our athletes. And yes, they look like they're at the pinnacle of their career. Nothing could be better for them. They're young, they're attractive, they're strong, they have a long career ahead of them, but they are very nervous and unstable about how things will progress. Just getting to Beijing was one of the most nerve-wracking experiences probably any of them have ever had to go through. They haven't been able to train, they haven't been able to compete, they didn't know if they would make the team, they didn't know if they would get COVID before they left or when they got here. They had no idea. It was just so uncertain for them. You know, at least in the Canadian system, I know we have a strong background of psychotherapists and support systems within the teams, but then also external to the teams to give the athletes a chance to release their stress. So we can never underestimate what goes on behind people's eyes when they're getting prepared for these things.
Right. Mr. Dang, particularly with the Omicron, which is spreading so fast in different populations around the world, athletes, sometimes they have to remain a little bit separated from the crowds, including from their teammates.
No, so it's really about creating like a system like this, is Zoom families where people could, you know, joke and enjoy and just kind of let off steam, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it is unbelievably close. In some of these countries, for example, I mean, Canada's got a huge team, as does Switzerland, but some of these teams are very, very small to start with. So you go from like a team of 2 or 3 down to I'm by myself with the weight of the world on my shoulders. Not only have the teams come together within themselves, but I think they've also come together internationally as well. So other teams supporting each other. So it is just one big family at the end of the day, even though we're competing for the same prize.
Dr. Stricker, I really wonder, you know, how the world should be and could be inspired by these athletes and their performances.
You know, they demonstrate that with hard work, sticking with the objective, they can perform. But in the same time, and you can, you know, hear from many of those athletes that they keep the pleasure. They keep the pleasure of doing their sport. It's really part of the success. It's not just the iron will to win, but also having, you know, experiencing, having this pleasure. And again, as we said, being within a team, even if it's individual sport for the non-collective sport, non-team sport.
Yeah.
And that's what is inspiring, basically. They can find and basically find the flow by having on one side still this pleasure to you know, master the movements, experience the snow together with you know, very clear objective.
Mr. Downs, looking at some of the delegations, you know, some are just 2 or 3 persons total. And many of those athletes are coming from countries where there's no snow, there's no ice naturally, you know, in their environment. You know, the resilience that they show and the love they show for the winter sports really gives us a lot of a very different taste of what Winter Olympic Games are about.
You know, it goes back to, I forget which Olympics was, but the Jamaican bobsled team. I mean, this is now, it's one of the best stories of Olympic Games history, or Eddie the Eagle, or, you know, now we've got Tongan athletes and Saudi Arabian athletes. You know, it's really fantastic. And technology, yes, money can get you to do whatever you want. And certainly a lot of these governments don't necessarily support their athletes. They need to be self-funded. But it really shows that if you put your heart and your soul into something, and if you have a vision, you can achieve it. And that's where I think the Olympics, it's not just about who has the most money or the biggest support network. It's all about individual performance at the end of the day. And there's no boundaries and no restrictions. Whether you're young or old, male, female, doesn't matter. You can achieve anything you like.
And also thank you, the 2 of you, for your service to the athletes and also to the delegations and the games. Thank you so much, Mr. Downs and Dr. Stricker. Really appreciate it.